All right, if you're serious about building a real online income in 2026, let's just cut through all the usual hype. Today, we're going to break down a realistic, step-by-step roadmap that actually gets results without any of the crazy get-rich-quick promises. So let's dive in. First things first, let's just get this out of the way. If you've ever felt a little skeptical about the whole passive income dream, well, your instincts were spot on. Building a real, sustainable online business definitely takes work. But here's the good news. It's a whole lot simpler than you've been led to believe. Most people are completely bogged down thinking they need these super complicated automated funnels and like a million followers to even get started. But the reality? The most effective way to do this is also the simplest way. Just have genuine conversations with the right people who actually need what you have to offer. Okay, so the big question is, how do you find those people? And how do you even start those conversations in the first place? Well, that is exactly where this really elegant solution comes into play. It's called the two-engine model, and it's basically your blueprint for building a scalable income online. The real beauty of this whole model is just how simple it is. Seriously, instead of trying to juggle a dozen different strategies you saw online, you get to focus all your energy on only two things that actually matter. One, attracting the right people, and two, converting that attention into revenue. That's it. That's the whole game. So let's break it down. You've got two core parts. First up is the magnet. Think of this as your content engine, the thing that attracts your perfect customers to you. And second, you have the money. This is your conversation engine for turning all that interest into actual sales. Get these two engines running smoothly, and you've got yourself a real, scalable business. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, this conversation thing sounds great for, small ticket items, but take a look at this number. $500,000. What if I told you that didn't come from some elaborate, expensive sales funnel, but was actually a single deal that was closed completely over chat on Instagram? Yeah, this just proves that when you build real trust and you solve a real problem for someone, the platform you're using, it really doesn't matter. The conversation is what counts. So let's get practical and talk about that first engine, the magnet. This is all about your content strategy. So how do you create stuff that doesn't just get a bunch of random views, but actually attracts the right kind of people to your business? Okay, this right here is the game changer. A few years back, social media had a huge shift. It went from a social graph where your reach was all about how many followers you had to an interest graph. Today, it's all about the quality of your content, not the size of your audience. This means you can have literally 0 followers, post one great piece of content, and still go viral. The playing field has never been more level. So how do you create that kind of quality content consistently? You just use this super simple framework. It's called PSL. First, you make a clear point about a problem your ideal buyer is facing. Second, you tell a relatable story that shows that problem in action. And third, you give them a simple, actionable lesson they can use right away. Point, story, lesson. And listen, that middle part, the story, it's everything. Facts are so easy to forget, but stories stick. They are the glue that makes your lesson something people actually remember. And hey, if you don't have a good personal story, no problem. A powerful metaphor works just as well to get that connection with your audience. Look, knowing the theory is great, but putting it into practice is what really matters. So the action step for you here is the 100-day challenge. You just commit to posting one PSL video every single day on platforms like Reels, Shorts, and TikTok. And this isn't even about going viral. It's about building consistency, learning what your audience loves, and creating some unstoppable momentum. Okay, so your attraction engine is fired up, you're getting attention. What's next? Well, how do we turn all that attention into actual revenue? It's time to build our second engine, the money engine. This is all about turning conversation into predictable cash flow. It all starts with something that sounds kind of obvious, being social on social media. First, you just open the conversation with new followers. Second, you start posting what we call hand raisers, content that gets interested people to actually message you. Third, you ask a few simple questions to see if they're a good fit. And fourth, the whole time you're just focused on building trust and adding value. Now, this next part is so important because it's where most people go wrong. When a potential customer tells you about a problem they have, the amateur mistake is to try and comfort them, right? You say something like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll figure it out." But that just releases all the pressure and kills the sale. The pro uses what's called the doctor approach. They dig in and diagnose the problem even deeper, which builds their authority and proves they actually have the solution. And a key part of that diagnosis is managing the buyer's psychology. So for a low-confidence buyer, you want to validate their concerns. But for an overconfident buyer, you need to ask questions that help them see the true scope of their problem. Your goal is to guide them into that sweet spot, we call it the buying zone, where they're crystal clear on the problem and they believe that you're the one to help them solve it. And once they're in that zone, your offer needs to be crystal clear. It has to hit on the exact challenges they just told you about, it needs to be short and to the point, and it has to clearly state the investment. Always remember this. A confused buyer will never, ever buy. Simplicity is your absolute best friend here. Okay, we have covered a lot. We've talked about the two engines, attraction and monetization. So now let's pull it all together. This isn't just a bunch of theory. This is a practical action plan that you can start using today. So here's what your path forward really looks like. For the next 7 days, your only job is to get super clear on your ideal buyer. For the first month, you're all in on that content challenge. Then, in months 2 and 3, you focus on optimizing how you engage with people. And from month 4 onward, you should be ready to start scaling your sales. It's a clear, totally manageable process. And as you move forward, I just want you to always keep these core principles in mind. Create value before you ever ask for a sale, genuinely engage with people, become a trusted advisor, not just another salesperson, keep every single part of your process simple, and, maybe most importantly, be consistent. Ultimately, what it all comes down to is this. The system we've talked about is simple. It is proven. It is a straightforward model for building a real online business. The path is laid out for you. The only variable left in the equation is you. So the real question isn't whether or not this works, it's whether you will commit to making it work starting today.